All right, hello. So today's lesson is on factoring when the leading coefficient is not 1. So this is a tutorial, a lesson that corresponds to the assignment for March 25th on the calendar for my Algebra 1 students. So I picked 2 questions that are on your assignment that will help you with the rest of them. So let's get started. I'm going to do question number 28 first. So if I'm taking a look at this polynomial and I want to factor it, the first thing that I notice is my first term right here. Okay, there's an 8 right there. If my leading coefficient is not 1, I cannot use X method right away. So then second thing I'm going to check. Like, okay, I have an 8, a 2, and a 3. And I have to think, okay, is there a number that I can factor out from each one of these? This is a number that divides all 3 of them. And there isn't. Okay. 2 goes into, did I just put the number? 2 goes into 8 and 2, but it doesn't go into 3. So it has to go into every single term. So if there's nothing that I can factor out, then I'm going to move on to step 3. Okay. This leading coefficient, let's go ahead and take it and multiply it times the constant. And there it is. Okay, so I took this leading coefficient, I multiplied it times my constant, and then I got a new polynomial. Here, look at my leading coefficient is 1 here. Okay, no other number that is in front of my first term. So now I can use X method here. I'm going to take my constant, place it at the very top of my X, and then I'm going to take my middle coefficient, place it at the bottom. So now 2 numbers that multiply to give me negative 24, but when I combine them, they give me 2. And there it is. So 6 times negative 4 gives me negative 24. When I combine the 2, 6 minus 4 gives me 2. All right, and then I went ahead and I wrote it in factored form over here. I am not done. Since I multiplied by my leading coefficient to get rid of it so that I could do X method, now I have to go back and divide these by 8. And here. So if I'm dividing by 8 now I got to check if I can reduce. If it's possible for me to reduce, do it. If you can't reduce, you take whatever number's in the denominator and you place it in front of your variable. And there it is. So in this case, I was able to reduce both of them. 6 over 8, I can reduce both of those by 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 over 8, same thing as 1/2. Now, there's nothing else I can reduce at the end, so my 2 numbers in the denominator, go ahead and move them to the front of those terms with the b, and this is your final answer. Cool. Moving on to example number 29. Okay, so this is the example for question number 29. Very similar. I have a number right here in the front for my leading coefficient that is not 1, but I'm not going to go straight into multiplying here because if I have a 6, a 9, and a 15, there's one number that I can factor out here. One number that divides 6, 9, and 18. And that number is 3. So I'm going to factor it out. And there it is. So I took out that 3. Once you do that, this is what the new polynomial looks like inside the parentheses. If you're unsure, pause the video real quick, distribute that 3 to every single term, and you'll see that you get the same polynomial that I have here. So now that I took out that 3, this is a simpler polynomial for me to factor. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did in the previous example. Take that 2, multiply it times negative 5, because I want the leading coefficient to be a 1 in order for me to use X method. All right, so I did a bit here. Once I multiplied that 2 times negative 5, I got this new polynomial. I can use X method here. So that's what I did right here. I got negative 5 and 2 as the 2 numbers that multiply to negative 10, add up to negative 3. I wrote my answer in factored form. Notice, leave the 3 on the outside that you factored. We're not done. Now we have to divide by the number that I multiplied by. And there it is. Okay, I divided by 2 because that's the number I multiplied by in the beginning. And then reduce if you can't. If you cannot, move it to the front. And there's your answer. You're done.